Well, as promised, Mahindra & Mahindra September order sales have come through. Tractor sales are in line with expectations. Farmer sentiments improving owing to normal rainfall and actually great rainfall. Management expects robust demand for tractors going forward. We have the management, Mr. Hemant Sikka, President Farm Equipment Sector at Mahindra & Mahindra, joining in to take some questions. Mr. Sikka, good morning. Prashant here. Thanks for your time. You've been sort of, in a way, conveying to sort of investors at various forums that the tractor segment is looking a bit more robust going forward. We've spoken here in the past about the full year guidance, and you've said, well, it's got upside risk from that 5% number. And you said that we will revise it. We'll take a look at it once again after the second quarter results. Would you like to do it now, sir? I mean, the quarter is behind.
So, Prashant, first of all, we are seeing very strong momentum in the market. And clearly, this is on the back of some very good rainfall. Of the 36 agri-climatic zones that we have in the country, 33 zones have got either normal or above normal rainfall. And even in terms of, if you see the state stratification, for only the states of Bihar and Punjab do we see little bit deficiency in the rainfall. But broadly, all the agri states also have very good rainfall. So this is giving us a very good momentum. In fact, we are for the first time seen a very strong momentum even play out in the Shradh period. Mostly you would see, Prashant, that people generally don't buy very expensive assets during this period. But if you see the average of the last 5 years, we are seeing clearly about 10 to 12% better sales in the Shradh period. And we believe that as the Navaratri period starts in a couple of days, this momentum will further build up and we are heading into a very good festive season. In terms of revising the guidance, no, we will still maintain at 5% level because we want to see through the festive season and then maybe take a call at the end of Diwali. That would be our view.
Q2 is already panned out much better than what you thought, right? What you imagined at the beginning of the quarter, isn't it?
No, QT actually is broadly kind of flat. If you see YTD industry is flat, at Mahindra we are up 4%, so we have gained some very good market share YTD so far. But most of the heavy lifting, Prashant, will happen in H2 of this year, and that would give us an overall 5% growth rate.
So 5% would be the overall FY25 growth in the tractor segment that you'll play out. I mean, what more can you tell us about the pickup? Because if you look at, say, the month-on-month performance, and it looks really impressive, September over August. I mean, how are you expecting the coming months to play out? And do festivities matter? I mean, are you expecting a bigger pickup in the festive season, or will it be more linked to the next crop cycle?
So, first of all, in tractor, we should not compare month on month. I mean, auto, you can compare month on month, but tractor goes with the cycle. It goes with the cropping cycle. So, it is always better to compare a YoY scenario. But even on a YoY scenario, we're expecting the industry to start a very strong growth in S2 of this year. Since first half was kind of flat, most of the growth has to come now in the quarter 3 and quarter 4. We are looking at a very strong momentum. We already seen momentum build up in the short period, and we are seeing the momentum to further multiply in the days to come. And so you are right, festive do play a very significant role in the sales of tractor. Farmers try to time it with the cropping cycle. So as the harvesting, in a couple of weeks, the harvesting will start. And this will lead to then a very quick sowing of the Rabi crop. The good point is all these monsoons are giving us very good reservoir levels. I mean, just to share a data point, the reservoir levels are 13% more than the long period average. Now, this is a very strong momentum building factor for a Rabi crop because Rabi crop depends on what is the moisture in the soil and what are the reservoir levels. So if you have a back-to-back good crop, Kharif is already kind of done. The sowing has been at 110 million hectares. So overall, Kharif will be a very good crop. We are seeing paddy, oilseeds, pulses, sugarcane, maize, bajra, all the crops are going to hit a very bumper output this year, except for cotton, which is below average. So overall, on the back of very good Kharif crop and a likely very strong Rabi crop, the momentum in this market is very positive. And the farmers usually try to time their purchases with festive and with harvesting cycle because that's when the money flow happens. So clearly, you are right, the festive plays a very critical role.
So, Mr. Sikka, let's talk about, just to understand the relative position where we are at in tractors. With this 5% growth this year, where will you be vis-a-vis the peak of the cycle? I mean, I don't know which period would be the peak and how much above or below is M&M and in the industry overall, and what should we expect in the near term?
So we would be 2% below the peak as an industry. So we are almost like at that level, which was the all-time high. But Surbhi, I would suggest that we should not look at peak as the peak. I would say that was an all-time high is the right phrase to use, because I believe there is still a lot of under-penetration in the tractor industry. We should never look at units sold. We should look at what is the horsepower per hectare sold. And in terms of horsepower per hectare, I think there is still a lot of catch up to do in our agri economy. And that is what is giving us confidence that there are still a lot of headroom for the industry to grow in India.
Horsepower per hectare, Mr. Sikka, and where do you see it headed, since you're optimistic on that particular parameter? If you could give us some sense so we understand better. And also, what about your market share? What was it at the start of this fiscal with this 5% growth that you're guiding for? What do you end the year at?
So market share so far, Nigel, has been holding very well for us. So we are, right now for September, I can't talk the number because the industry data is still not out. But YTD August, we were 180 bips higher than last year. Last year, our market share was 41.6, and we have added 180 bips to that. So on market share, I think both our lead brands from Mahindra and Swaraj are doing very well. All our new products have been very well established. For Swaraj, we have come up with a new tractor called Tractor. For Target, we have got a new Swaraj, a completely new styling with better engine efficiency already into the market. On Mahindra side, we have launched Oja as a lightweight tractor brand. So all these products are going into the market. We are getting very good feedback from our farmers, and that is helping us gain a market share in this. Now, coming to the horsepower, currently, Nigel, we have to do reverse calculation that if we have to feed our 1.4 billion population, and we are seeing that the population still continues to grow. So there is a paper done by the government of India which says that by 2030, the horsepower per hectare requirement will be about 4 horsepower. We are currently at about 2.6. So even if the industry continues to grow at 7.6 CAGR, which was the CAGR for the last 15 years, we will have to move from the current population of about 8 million to almost like 17 million. And if we do this calculation, by 2030, the industry will reach only at a level of 11 million. So that means there is so much headroom for the industry to grow. We are looking at units, so clearly number of units, India is the largest market. But in terms of horsepower per hectare, I think there is still a lot of room to grow the industry.
All right, Mr. Sikka, just one quick question. Domestically, you've explained things to us. Exports, very small part of your business. On a low base itself, on a year-on-year basis, I'm comparing September this time to September of last year. I think it's down by close to 10%. Could you explain that to us? Year to date, you've done well. Year to date, you'll have done well on exports. But just for September, what happened?
Yeah, so year to date, just to get the data point across, is 36% growth. We are very
36% growth year to date, but in September to September, I think it's down 9 to 10%. So explain it to us.
Nigel, I mean, September has been a slow month for us in exports, and there are two factors to it. One is that in our neighboring countries, there are some geopolitical challenges being played. These are all very big markets for brand Mahindra and Swaraj. And even in the US market, we are seeing that 11 quarters of continuous degrowth in US tractor industry. Now that is, we know the factors, that is on back of very high interest rate cycle, and people were waiting for Fed to start cutting. And now that has happened, I think the transmission will take 3-4 months time. And even in our US, which is our second largest market after India, the sentiment will revive. So that will again give us growth getting into our Q4. But I think for next 3-4 months, the exports might be a little slow.
Okay. All right, Mr. Sikka, we will leave it on that note. Thank you very much for joining in and providing us all that perspective on the farm equipment side. Appreciate you being with us.